All right, guys, welcome to Toondudes and a very special new series I'm doing. Basically, we're going to cover all 15 of the first Mickey Mouse cartoons from 1928 and 1929, basically the 1920s. And to celebrate this, we have a very special guest, somebody you probably really well know if you're into animation and you're also watching me. My good friend Anthony from An Animation Talk. You want to say hi?
No. That's going to be my gimmick, isn't it? No, hey guys, we're watching a cartoon of literally no importance whatsoever. No, I kid, of course, I kid. This is one that really started it all. Animation had obviously been around before this one, but animation never took off until this one cartoon with its beautiful synchronized sound. When it was released, some say November 18, 1928, some say earlier, some say later. It had a weird release, but yeah, it's one of the best things ever made.
I was going to say, like, really quickly, apparently Anthony is an Oswald fan.
Oswald
oh, and there's the parrot. There's the parrot that no one understands. What is he supposed to be saying?
Like when I was a kid, I thought it was saying something like, "Where's that bum blum bim bum bah ha 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 ha." Like it's so unintelligible. But that is apparently Walt's voice doing it, and what he actually says has been a matter of debate for a while. But I can reveal what Mark Kausler says it is. Do you want me to reveal it, or do you want to reveal it?
Go ahead. We should also say really quickly. We should probably say beforehand this information mostly comes from Mickey Mouse and the Ultimate History. I'll try to put a link to where you can buy it on Amazon, but understand there'll probably be a Canadian link. So, you can probably just use that information to find it elsewhere or something.
Yeah, so no, absolutely.
Drum roll.
He basically says, hope you don't feel hurt, big boy. Hope you don't feel hurt, big boy. But it doesn't even match. I mean, I believe Mark Kausler, when he talks, you listen, basically. That's how high up, in terms of his knowledge about animation is. But it just still feels wrong, if that makes sense. But look,
considering how little money this probably was made on, I bet it's just a bad recording that they couldn't redo.
Yeah,
probably.
Because this was done on Cinephone, which was like a very primitive sound system, because no one would support Walt Disney's venture, really, except for Pat Powers, and that alone has so much history to it. Again, read the book that we're recommending, because if you want to know a lot more about it. But essentially, it wasn't the best thing in the world, and and Walt wanted to use a superior system, but he was under contract for a while using the inferior system. So once the contract ran out, he went straight onto the better system. So that's why a lot of these earlier sound Mickeys don't sound the greatest, but it's still history anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you have to understand the contemporaries of the time, Walt was basically robbed of his original character, Oswald, which wasn't his original character, but, let's not get pedantic here. Here's the entire reason for the second part of the plot here. That gag was ripped. That gag is Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say it's basically a, I believe it's a copyright-free song as well, which is what Walt had to pretty much use, which is completely understandable. And I will point out one thing before I forget. I first saw this cartoon on a VHS release of some of the best Mickey Mouses, but when this was released, though, it didn't have the part with the pigs when he's kicking off the little piglets, and that whole bit was cut out. So, yeah.
I have heard of that. The first time I saw this was on VHS as well. I had the Spirit of Mickey VHS, which came out in 1998. So I was very familiar with this cartoon. You know what? I honestly think that if I didn't have that VHS, I would not be interested so much in how things came to be. And, that would basically have changed my entire, hobbies, like all of them, I think.
Yeah,
because
it's an incredible cartoon. It really is. I should also mention in 1994 that it was voted 13th in the book 50 Greatest Cartoons, which listed the greatest cartoons of all time. and he was in the National Film Registry. It was added in there in 1998, which feels kind of weird because by then it had been gone for about 10 years up and running. So I don't know why it took him so long, but anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This was my favorite part as a kid when he swung that cat around and then just like flung him right under that.
I actually hated it because I'm a cat guy, but anyway, look, it's fine.
I totally understand why people who watch these early Mickeys do not like how abused these animals get. But as a little kid, I could separate them from being real animals, so I always thought it was really funny. But I can totally understand your perspective. I would never do that to a cat, obviously.
Absolutely. So here, look, I would see this part where where he's making music, and then it would sort of cut here where it would just go straight to the parrot dancing. But this part here where he's just being really mean, like I always thought it was just so bizarre. Like he kicks the pig, and the pigs are happy, and the mother looks like she's in so much pain. Like, really? That's just
no. Mickey was just a bad person.
Yeah, absolutely. But man, this one's just imagine seeing this for the first time in 1928. Just the synchronized sound. It's not so much that there was sound; it was the fact that there was synchronized sound. The sound was matching what was going on in the screen, and you could have movies that maybe have the dialogue and all that as the sound, but this was just something else entirely. So,
well, the previous big star in animation, Felix the Cat, they came on to sound way too late, and even when they didn't synchronize it properly. So Felix was quickly dethroned by this mouse. So you could just see how important it was at the time.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
we get the last gag here. He's cutting down potatoes and kills a parrot. That is what happens, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
You have any final thoughts as we're actually ending it? And there will be discussion afterwards, but for the actual commentary, so stick around. But Anthony, do you have any final thoughts?
It's a classic. All
right. So join us right after the boop, and we'll continue on. So have a good one, guys. Continue on. And we're back. All right. So, this is going to be a little bit short, and I'm sorry that the only cartoon that actually gets a discussion like this is the first one that you guys are going to see. But after all 15 are out, I will get Anthony back, and we'll see if we can get anybody else. But I've been trying. We'll talk about all 15. But today we got to talk about Steamboat. I mean, what, we're not gonna talk about Steamboat?
Nah, as I said before, it's of nothing of any importance. Nah, nothing happens in that one.
Oh yeah, nothing important happened, absolutely. But either way, we're gonna have to talk about it.
It's really Felix that's the true megastar. You know that.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the time he was.
Absolutely.
Felix was the king of the world. I believe Felix even has Felix has Australian roots, doesn't he?
Honestly, I have not watched many Felixes. I mean, I know of the character and that, but I would have to research a bit more to be quite honest. But if it does have Aussie roots, though, it's a bit of Aussie ingenuity, mate.
Well, I believe what it was the creator, Pat Sullivan, or the person that's credited to be the creator. He left some like Australian slang in the first cartoon. I couldn't tell you the name of it. Feline Follies, maybe.
Yeah. So Pat Sullivan, was an Aussie, but I couldn't tell you about the Aussie slang though that was left in there. I would have to watch them, but that would definitely interesting. Maybe we'll track them down now and give it a look.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I like the early Felix the Cats because I don't really care for the 50s cartoon, like the 50s TV show. I don't really care for that. That's kind of like the Felix that everybody like kind of remembers nowadays, if they do remember Felix, which, let's face it, like there's a totem pole. Like people know who Mickey Mouse is. Most people will know like the rest of the supporting cast. people will know. And then there's like Farmer Alfalfa and like Felix the Cat and like like the characters that should be remembered probably because of their contributions, but the studios definitely didn't buy Star Wars, and that's why. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. But you wanted to mention, like, see, Oswald wasn't as big as Felix at the time, but he was still reasonably popular, and you can imagine why. What's his name up from Universal? I keep forgetting his name, but he wanted to have more control over things because he could probably see that Oswald could become a megastar, and then Walt
Oh,
didn't want to play ball, and yeah, then all this happens.
well, if you like, I mean, I totally recommend looking into Walt Disney's life in general because I think he's one of the most interesting life stories of any person like ever. I totally recommend the movie Walt Before Mickey. It's not completely accurate, and there's some embellishment, obviously, but I think for what it is, it's a great film. But I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, just treat that film as okay. It's basically a low budget affair, really low budget affair that has its heart in the right place, but it definitely does suffer a little bit because of the budget. But they tried. But when you watch it, you do sort of think, "Oh, I really, really would love to see a proper multi-part, Walt Disney biography." But will it happen? Probably not. And if it does happen, it'll be probably like really, like we wouldn't have the warts and all version if Disney were to do it. So the Disney Corporation,
Oh,
rather.
oh yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of surprised they haven't done that, honestly.
It'd be a huge hit. It'd be a huge hit. I mean, just don't cast Tom Hanks. And as much as he's a great actor, and as much as he did a great job playing Walt um, in that film about the making of Mary Poppins, he
Yeah,
looks like
I'll put the name in the video so people
yeah,
can like look
he
into that.
looks. But the problem is, he looks like Tom Hanks. And he played Walt really well, but he just looks like Tom Hanks. That's the problem. So casting would be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing I need to mention is that people know who Oswald is now. Like, I think that's a fair thing to say. They've been marketing him just enough that he's in the public eye, kind of. If you know Mickey, there's I would say 70% chance you know who Oswald is now, kind of. Because he was in the Epic Mickey games, and they did push him, and in the newer stuff they do like to reference him.
And
But
there was a huge deal over the fact that a literal football player was traded or something just so that Walt Disney, the Disney Corporation, could have the rights of Oswald back.
that was
So
such
it
a
was a
good
really
trade. I'm sorry that. Yeah, I'm
people will be
sorry.
scratching their heads for sure, but yeah, basically, football player for Oswald. I mean, I don't know how good of a football player Oswald is, but
I wouldn't know either. But the thing is, too, is that people think that Oswald was the first thing Disney did, and that's not the case either. Before
no, definitely
Oswald,
not.
there was the Alice comedies, which had a very similar cat to Felix as basically the main star, because at a certain point, the live action girl with the cartoon footage just became more and more too expensive. So what they did was they basically put the focus on Julius, which for all intents and purposes is low budget Felix. That's what it was. Still though, those cartoons are pretty impressive for how old they are exactly, and the fact that as early as they are, it's pretty impressive that they got a live action girl to interact with anything. I'm sure it's not Roger Rabbit quality, but Roger Rabbit also came out 60 years something later.
Yeah, absolutely. And plus, you've also got the Laugh-O-Grams as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The Laugh-O-Grams I don't think are very preserved really well nowadays. A lot of them are lost.
Yeah, that's just unfortunately how a lot of the material of that time period is. But what can you do?
Well, I also think that there's like 1 year of Oswald Disney cartoons, and like there's still like a lot of them have been found. A good chunk of them have been found since the 2000s, but there's still like 4 or 5 that existed but can't be found so far, I think. But really quickly, the last little thought I want to do on, Before Mickey. because of course we're going to talk about before Mickey, because I think a little bit of context is needed for how bad of a situation it was for Walt at this time.
Yeah.
The who is the oldest existing, who still gets like appearances and such? Who is the longest lasting character?
See, it's a weird one because the earliest animated character that with a name, I suppose, might be Gertie the dinosaur.
Oh, I'm
Um,
sorry. I'm sorry. I should clarify. Disney character.
well, see, you'd say Mickey for the longest time, but now that Oswald's back in the spotlight, Oswald's got a longer span of time, but he was barely even used since the 30s onwards, though.
I'm going to blow your mind with this one.
Ooh,
The longest lasting Disney character is not Mickey. It's not Oswald. It's Pete.
yeah,
Pete first appeared in 1925 in Alice Solves the Puzzle. And it's not the same Pete that you may know. He's definitely more of a bear, and, doesn't look a whole lot like the Steamboat Willie cat that we all know. But it's still the same character. In fact, I believe he goes by Peg Leg Pete in that cartoon. So it's pretty fun to like throw people off with that. Is that, yeah, Pete is the longest lasting character that Disney ever had.
yeah. There you go.
Well, that
There you
is
go.
until they do Julius the Cat the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. One other thing I want to point out for this discussion is that, okay, the Steamboat Willie was actually not the first sound cartoon. What it actually was is the first fully post-produced sound cartoon. So, which meant that this had proper synchronized sound and all that stuff. Whereas Inkwell Studios had the song cartoons, and Van Buren Studios had a cartoon called Dinner Time, and that basically just used like just generic sounds. Really, like it wasn't really interactive sound, so to speak.
Right.
Whereas this one, the sounds were actually part of the uh, the cartoon. Like you could feel the sound, so to speak. Even though as I mentioned in the commentary, the Cinephone method was very much inferior, it was good enough to do the job and entertain so many people at the time.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I think that people don't realize like what it was like before synchronized sound, and how funny it is to look back on how long people fought against the idea of everything having sound or everything having color. Because that was a big fight for the longest time, was that people couldn't watch a full-length sound movie. They would get hurt, they would hurt, and the same thing with color. People can't look at a colorful screen for an hour. That'll hurt their eyes. This was very common at the time. People were afraid of change.
Yeah, exactly, and not to mention Snow White as well. People couldn't sit through a color cartoon for 70 or so minutes, however long it was.
Yeah, absolutely. They were calling it Mickey's fault, or Mickey's Folly, Disney's Folly. Um, they thought that he was throwing everything away, just like how everybody thought he was throwing everything away on Mickey. The same thing.
Exactly.
And then later on with Disney World, see, Walt had phases. He wasn't content ever. That was the thing that made him so amazing, is how hardworking he was. He was never satisfied with just doing the same thing for the rest of his life. No, it was, oh, let's create the biggest cartoon star of all time. That's not good enough. Let's make the biggest animated movie of all time, the first animated movie of all time. That's not enough. I need to make a freaking theme park. And that's just skipping over like Fantasia and everything else he did. Like Walt Disney, political wise, even if you don't agree with his politics and, or his work ethic, or his the way he treated his employees, there's plenty of sources to tell you that He wasn't the most progressive boss. But the fact of the
Yeah,
matter is still that he was an amazing ideas man.
exactly. I liken him to a conductor, basically. Because Walt was an artist, right? But he wasn't a particularly good artist, in my opinion. But he was great at being the conductor, like to get people who are way more talented than him in certain skills to put things together in a certain way that just would blow everyone's minds.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also have to quickly mention, because we completely forgot about this to bring this up before, but this is actually a parody. This was a parody of the Buster Keaton film Steamboat Bill Jr., which also came out in 1928.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you haven't seen that film, please do. It's one of the best silent films you'll ever see.
Well, I'll be honest, I haven't seen it before this. Before, I mean, I haven't seen it, but I definitely will go watch it after this, after we're done our
I saw it in the
discussion and
cinema.
stuff.
I mean, obviously not when it was released. I mean, obviously, but when I had a chance to watch it in cinema, where they actually had a band there doing the
Oh,
music for
really?
it, and if you ever get a chance to watch a silent movie with an actual band,
You go
it's
do it.
yeah, definitely give it
I
a
was
chance. It's
I was so
amazing.
mad. As people probably know, I'm a big. This is completely off tangent. I'm sorry, but silent films were brought up, so this is kind of related. Um, I'm a big Universal horror fan. People know that. Frankenstein,
Yeah.
Dracula, the Wolfman, all that. I got to do more videos on that, but I digress. Um, I was in Edmonton. I will say that because that's not where I live, so don't go to try to find me in Edmonton. I was just visiting. If you know where that is, good for you. You can look it up, whatever. And I was there for some reason. I can't remember why, but the point of the story was that they were playing at an IMAX theater the original Phantom of the Opera from 1925 the week after I was leaving. And I was so upset. You have no idea how badly I wanted to like find a way. I was going to stay at a friend's place, like their dorm. I was going to hide out there for a week just so I could go see it, but unfortunately that wouldn't work. So I so upset, so upset. But that's completely unrelated, and that's just a personal horror story. If you guys want to hear it, one day I will see that film in the theater. I've told myself that. But back to Steamboat, because that's what
And
we're
I will
talking
mention,
about.
just on that point, I will mention that I finally saw King Kong for the first time, the original King Kong, in the cinema. And seeing some of these earlier films, if you can ever get a chance to see it on the big screen with other people, yeah, definitely take the opportunity to do
And
so.
Anthony just had to throw in the fact that he's seen my second favorite film in theaters. He just had
Yeah,
to throw that in there.
that's right.
Well,
That's right.
joke's on you. I got to see Back to the Future in theaters, so you know what?
That's okay.
Part one
I
and
got
two.
it. I got it on 4K, so I can watch it in mind-blowing 4K.
I will have 4K as soon as the PS5 becomes more common.
Yeah, well, I already got a PS5. Ooh. It's really all about a big fight. Like this is pretty much that scene in that Bugs Bunny cartoon where Alma and Bugs are just sort of running into the screen with a bigger weapon every time.
Oh, isn't that Yosemite Sam?
No,
Or am
well,
I
it's
thinking
another one. Oh, it doesn't
they
matter.
repeat that gag, whatever. Okay, so I do want to say that after all 15 are released, I will once again get Anthony and we'll talk about all 15. So that's why we're trying to keep it a little shorter here. Don't need to
Keyword.
trying. Yeah, we're going on a lot of tangents here. But do you know the theater that they first premiered this at? Apparently, this information is known. I'm pretty happy about that.
No. Not offhand, I have to say. But do you want to tell
Well,
me?
according to the Wikipedia page, because yes, I use Wikipedia. Shut up. um, that's the audience that are harassing me in the comment section, not you, Anthony. By the way, I just want to quickly add that. Um, apparently, it premiered at Universal's Colony Theater in New York City on November 18th, 1928. and it was distributed by Celebrity Productions, who I don't think they exist anymore. It played ahead of the independent feature film Gang War. Gang War. Okay, this was. I know James Creelman. He was one of the writers on King Kong, but I don't know any of these other names.
That's all right.
I'm like looking. Isn't it interesting that the film that aired Steamboat Willie, no one knows it. Did you know what Gang War was?
Just the name, I suppose. That's it. But I've never seen it. No.
Well, it's a gangster picture, and that's pretty funny to imagine, like the first Mickey Mouse cartoon. Disney wholesome fun played in front of a gangster film. I don't know. I think that's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a lost film too. So they just threw this away. Even its Wikipedia page. The Wikipedia page says, "Oh yeah, it's lost, but it's way overshadowed by its most famous preceding short." Like, damn. Can you? Yeah, I swear on this channel, like, leave me alone about that. But not you, the audience. Yeah, no, I just love that because, like, because at the time, right, the animated features were just considered throwaways. Like, oh, we need something to fill the time. We don't respect them. We're films. We're so much better than them. Oh man, that must have been embarrassing. Do you think the director Burt Glennon, who I don't know, he did a lot of films though. Well, only like 6 as a director. But the point of the matter is, before I stop myself on going more on down this rabbit hole, is that can you imagine how you'd feel if you directed a big film and some guy released a cartoon that was 7 minutes long and now he was like rich and you were not known whatsoever?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I'd be happy about it. But then again, if it's a cartoon this good, maybe I'll be like, you know what? Fair enough.
Yeah, but you have to understand during this time the context was like, it was like anything that wasn't a Hollywood film. Like a horror film was not a Hollywood film. That was like second grade garbage. Cartoons are the same way. Like all of that, and you get beaten by the thing that was supposed to like entertain people beforehand to get them like I don't know. I bet this guy was real resentful for that. I mean, I'm not sure if anybody's ever asked him how he felt about that, but he's long gone by now. So
I guess it's lost to time, huh?
yeah, and believe it or not, his Wikipedia page doesn't list anything about Mickey at all, but he seemed to have a good career. Like, he did seem to have like a really good career, and he worked with John Ford, and I do know who John Ford is, obviously.
Yeah.
So obviously he went somewhere. Like, obviously he didn't, just go nowhere. So that's good for him. But we'll go back. We'll finish up our thoughts on Steamboat, and I've kept Anthony way too long.
That's all right.
Yeah, just talking about. We should just do that podcast idea, honestly, and just talk about whatever. I think that would help.
Well, let us know in the comments below if you want us to do that. I mean, because I've got my own podcast, shameless plug. But we can always have some blue-centric type episodes on there.
Blue-centric. Blue rambles for like an hour, and Anthony tries to like listen to him.
It's blue rambling and me tapping on my Apple Watch for like an hour straight.
Yeah, basically. What's what you get for teasing me about 4K Back to the Future on your PS5 I don't have yet. I have the money for it, I just don't have it. But yeah, alright. So, Steamboat, yeah, it was a parody. Like, I don't think that fact is well known nowadays, and I don't know, has anybody ever asked Mr. Keaton what he...
No, I don't, not that I recall, no. I mean, I've researched into Buster Keaton, and yeah, I don't know of that.
Okay, well, there you go. I mean, apparently nobody thought to ask these people, hey, how do you feel about being overshadowed by a mouse? I mean, I know Charlie Chaplin was a big fan of Felix, but yeah, do you have anything else you want to add, Anthony, or?
I think we've covered just about everything, but as we mentioned in the commentary, go and pick up that Mickey Mouse book. It's one of the greatest animation books ever made, as far as I'm concerned. It
Oh,
is
absolutely.
fantastic.
Yeah, I try to mention as much as I can, but there's only so many times I can remember to say, "Oh, by the way, there's this book. Get the book. Get the book." You guys think I was getting paid by the book sales or something, but I'm not. I'm just a person that really enjoys a book he bought. So, I don't have to put that little thing in the video that says, "Oh, I'm being promoted" or something. Now, if they want to promote me, go ahead. I totally take it, but I don't think that'll happen. But yeah, like I said, there's going to be 14 more just like this without a discussion. Some of them will appear with Anthony. Some of them will just be me. As of right now, I have recorded them all 15. And once those 15 are out, and there will be a little bit of time before you see this because obviously I got to fight fair use. That's always fun. Um, After all that, we will have another discussion on all 15 Mickeys because there's a lot we could talk about with like Plane Crazy and like Carnival Kid. In my opinion, some of the ones I did on my own, I'm sure Anthony would maybe have something to say about.
Yeah,
We'll be back on this. Like, don't think.
yeah, definitely.
And I also want you guys to tell me what you think of this new approach to Toondudes I'm doing, where I'm taking like a specific theme and just going with it. I'd really like to hear in the comments how I can improve that. And also, I don't think I should have to say this, but both me and Anthony are YouTubers, so we kind of have to shove it down your throats. Um, Please subscribe. Please like the video. You have no idea how much that helps us because the thing is, if you like the video, then people that watch similar videos to you on YouTube will get recommended it. Therefore, you can really help me grow as a YouTube content creator. Same thing for Anthony. He does all kinds of great stuff on his channel. Right now, he's covering every Looney Tunes cartoon from the very beginning. And right now, he's up to about 1941, maybe 1941 by the time you see this. Yeah, go check out Anthony's channel. Like, he does some great stuff. Stay here. Obviously, animation is not the only thing I do. I often talk about Blue Hedgehog and other video games, but I just like doing more than one thing. That's my thing, and it's kind of why I'm
I do
jumping around these
nothing
different
but
series.
animation. I do nothing but animation. Animation, animation, animation. That's my life.
Well, no, I mean that's a good life to have. I mean, animation's great. I've been watching cartoons since I was a little kid, and there's certain people that would like me to stop watching cartoons and watch other stuff, but you know,
Enjoy what you enjoy. Okay?
absolutely, absolutely. But I think we've covered everything I can think of, so I think we'll end it here, guys.
No, hey, thanks very much for listening, guys. It's always great to be part of Blue's channel. But yeah, as he said, definitely like, subscribe, share, you know,
And then
because the more you do that, the more stuff we can make.
go to Anthony's channel because I'm on there like probably at least once a week, at least. And I'm not going anywhere until he kicks me off. So,
That's right.
all right. But yeah, we'll end it there. Have a good one, guys. Peace out.
See you.